What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my video. As you can see,
Mike is back.
he's back for another topic, guys. Belief and his wife started their own channel for How Married Are You? And it's just about the relationship. But recently, Mike and I, correct, was watching that video together, and we felt so triggered, but not like necessarily in a bad way, but more in a way of, wow, this is good stuff to talk about. Like, and we were able to, from the outside looking in, see their relationship and where we fit in there. So with that, who did you feel like he was in there, and why?
I mean, I felt like a little bit of both because I can understand Belief or Glenn's perspective because as the money manager, as somebody who kind of oversees the management of like business in the household in that sort of way, I can understand his frustration with the initial statement that Yvette said, which was, when I get rich, I want a maid and...
Well, she said when we get rich.
When we get rich, I want a maid and a chef. And, you know, taking that at face value, there's nothing wrong with that. But I can understand how Glenn took it because his example and his explanation of it was pretty, reasonable as well.
Yes, and I personally felt like I was Yvette, but I did understand Glenn. But he went kind of ham at the end, and I was like, okay, no, I don't think I'm that dramatic. Where he was talking about the audacity, like you had the audacity to ask me. I don't feel like I'm that, but I could be sometimes. But I don't feel like in this situation I was that. What I respected about it is they respected each other in the video, and they were listening to each other, even though they might not have understood exactly what they're trying to say.
Yeah. And
basically, I felt like Yvette, because I'm just like, I know what it's like, even though I have one child, and I'm imagining like her and her I don't know if she has 4 or 5 kids, but it's like, you have to manage 4 kids, I just have to manage 1, and I be feeling like,
yep,
I need everything she said in that video. But I also agree with Belief when he said, or Glenn when he said that, how are you going to make that happen? That I don't feel like is my problem, because I feel like I will hustle for what I want. Like, that's just me. But also within that, I know that I still have to stop and think like, okay, what does Mike want? What does he need? Like, instead of just like, oh, I have this goal in mind, I'm gonna go get it at any means without stopping.
Yeah, well, just for some context, Glenn took it like this. Glenn heard that question and immediately, or not immediately, but somewhere between the question being, or the statement being said and him interpreting it, he saw it as added pressure for him to go and do something to fulfill her dream. So I understand that, because oftentimes as the provider, you feel all kinds of pressure to go out and do this and make money and be the breadwinner and to be constant and consistent. You feel all these pressures, and sometimes, our partners can have the liberties to move in and out of jobs or move in and out of certain responsibilities. So that pressure is real, and you don't want to feel like you're given pressure without asking what's the pressure for, or why, or are you okay with this pressure? So I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be speaking mostly from Yvette's point of view, because I relate the most to that, and he's kind of speaking more so from Glenn's point of view. But I definitely can understand not knowing that your spouse needs you.
Yeah.
Because she was like, well, I don't know, just tell me what you need from me. Like, what do you want me to do? And I can understand that, because like Mike can come off too like strong, got it all together, don't need anything, and it's like, well, I don't know how to serve you, because you seem like you got it all together already. And I remember in the beginning of our relationship, I was trying to pray for him, because I was like, no, you need prayer. And he was like, no, I'm good, like I don't need your prayer right now. And I was like, ever since then, like I'll be hesitant to pray for him, even though he didn't mean it like that. It's just like my own battle, like, oh dang, like I don't know if this is the right thing to do, I don't know how to do it. So it just kind of like it may be kind of like hesitant, but he let her have to tell me like, yeah, I need all that, like even if it looks like I don't need that. So it's just knowing your spouse as well.
Yeah.
The next question that I have on here is, do you feel like your spouse pressures you?
No, you're gonna put it all on me. So now you're gonna pressure me to answer a question about pressure. Nah.
With you.
I mean, I think generally we pressure each other, right? In relationships, generally. So the question is yes, of course. I feel like Danielle pressures me, and I feel like I pressure Danielle. Now here's the balance. You know, Mr. Balance Leveled Mike is there's a good pressure and there's a bad pressure. Good. We're supposed to apply good pressure to each other. We're supposed to challenge each other. We're supposed to sharpen each other. We're not supposed to point at each other when we're wrong, but we're supposed to critique and help each other up to a better level. So that type of pressure is good. But then there's I would say a negative pressure that comes with responsibility and being married sometimes and lack of communication and, you know, just kind of throwing things around and shifting responsibility. So yeah, I mean, there's I could be quite transparent. There's times where I feel pressure from Danielle to be more of a provider, to be more of a breadwinner, to, you know, be something that I don't have a capacity for in certain moments.
And do you think I verbally pressure you that way, or do you think that you, like, my demeanor or something hints to that?
Yeah, and all these things are unconscious and unbiased. So I understand that, but yeah, you know, and sometimes the way I'm spoken to, sometimes the way she carries herself, it's, you know, it could be demeaning or it can be triggering to me, and it activate a certain part of me that, you know, I don't like, and I don't like that she's giving me too. But if I don't communicate that, then I'm letting that pressure cause tension.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for me, I ultimately don't feel like Mike pressures me. Like, I feel like I just be all willy-nilly doing whatever I want. And then, like, all of a sudden, he'll randomly say something like, you need to do this. And I'm like, oh, no, you ain't trying to tell me all of a sudden. And, like, then it becomes, like, it ain't even pressure. It's just kind of like, where you been at? Like, now you trying to say something, but that's not cool either. Like, I'm learning to check myself with that. Like, he should be able to feel comfortable to talk to me about the things that he feel like I should be doing, that God has put on my heart or his heart. And then the other thing is, there is pressure because I think he sees things in me that I don't necessarily see in myself. And he's like, oh, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And I'm like, I'm not even there yet. So it's also being patient with your spouse and giving them the space and the time to get to the visions and whatever that they see that you in. The hardest part about a heated discussion, because they got kind of intense in the video. So I was like, what is the hardest part about when things get intense?
I think it's a couple things. I think for me, it's being misunderstood in heated conversation. Sometimes because we're angry, we throw labels and words around at each other. And when that happens to me, sometimes it's very hard to contain myself, because now all I want to do is defend my character to Danielle if that ever happens. And I think another thing is like being able to calmly assess and articulate how you feel. Because if we were to do that, then we would be able to give each other the space, or even ask for the space that we need. But a lot of times we don't. We just react. We're so reactionary. And when we're like that, it only goes more fire on fire. So yeah.
I agree. I have to agree. I think for me, the hardest thing for me to do is, once I get to a certain place, I like go into a shell, and it's really hard for me to come out. Like, I be trying so hard to like shuffle through all of the things in my mind and be like, okay, he's not attacking me. Okay, what am I feeling right now? How do I express that? But a lot of times it'll just be silent, because I don't know how to come out of that shell, because I've gotten to a place of frustration and feeling misunderstood, because that's big for me too, and feeling like, okay, you're just trying to get your point across. Those things is hard when you have those mindsets. Like, it's hard to come out of those. So it's like, how do we come out of those?
I mean, honestly, you can't. Like, for me, when Danielle goes into her shell and she doesn't communicate, it communicates something to me without her wanting it to. It communicates that she's giving up, communicates that she don't really want to, that I'm not willing to have this tough conversation with. And in reality, if Danielle were just to say, hey, I need some space right now, we can come back to this later. It would allow me as a reasonable person to be like, okay, I might be mad that you want your space, but at least I respect you enough to give that to you. And for myself too, my challenge is to give Danielle space without her saying that, because we've been married for 4 years and I should know that that's what she needs sometimes.
Hardest part about being married?
It's gonna sound lazy, but the responsibility.
Best part about being married?
Being able to do life with my best friend.
Okay. For me, hardest part of being married is I don't get to hide and run anymore. Like, I have to face everything. Like, when I would just be like, deuces, I don't want to talk no more. I'll see you next week or something. Like, you can't do that when you're married. You have to face everything. You have to be real about what's going on in the inside of you. Best part of being married is not being on the market anymore, not having to worry about somebody gonna lie, cheat, do all these other things to you. Like, and just having your, like you said, having your best friend to do life with you. That's the best part. Is there any subject that you feel like it's off limits when it comes to me? You feel like you can talk to me about anything?
No. I said yes so casually because there isn't really anything, except for sometimes I have my own internal struggles as a man, and there's things that happen to me as a young person, and I have a hard time reconciling some of my old ways of being and tendencies, and sometimes I know that they can make you feel a certain type of way.
So you feel like you don't want to talk about those things because it's going to take me to a place that might not even be necessary.
Exactly.
Because you're just going through it.
Yep.
I understand that. For me, I hesitate on talking to you about certain things, but then I always come around to it. Like, even if it's like a couple of months later, like, yo, like, this happened and I didn't know how to tell you, but I don't feel right not telling you. So, and not even on some like cheating or anything like that, just like difficult things, like, or maybe something that you thought in your mind. So I think for me it's just like, okay, how do I talk to you about this? Because I already go through all of the different scenarios in my mind about how you're going to respond, and sometimes that's not good either, because like I won't talk because I'm like, okay, this is how you're going to respond. I'm telling people, I'll be like, relationship is work. Like, do you really want to be in it? Do you really want to be married? I'm just saying, because it's work.
It's not easy.
Hard. It's not easy. But in the end, it's worth it.